Welcome to the Survivor Deep Dive podcast here on Reality NSFW. We are here to talk Survivor 42, Episode 9, entitled Game of Chicken. And I am Alex Rubino, your host for today. Joining me is my co-host, as always, Dan Montchal. Dan, how's it going?
We're doing pretty well. It was for everyone that was out in Durham this week. We appreciate it. It was a great time. Episode, you can have your own thoughts on that, but we at least had a great time at the viewing party.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. I was jealous. I don't live near the area, and I'm currently studying for final exams, so y'all are having a better time than I was watching this. But yes, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. It's the Survivor part of it obviously got pushed to the side, and there are many more important things discussed, and there are many more and much more qualified people to talk about those things than the two of us. So I don't know how much we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the end of the episode per se, but there are plenty of other podcasts to go listen to about that. You want to start right at the beginning? Go from there?
Let's do it.
All right. So, after last tribal, we see Chanel go home, and Hai got a vote. And he's pretty darn certain it's good old Romeo. And Romeo's on the outs. Hai knows who the vote is. And he denies it. I don't know. I also see a comment speaking the truth 96. Just drop it in to say how I was dying laughing at how y'all intentionally called out who would be going to Ponderosa. Yes. I have never been so obvious. Everything aside, I've never been so sad we don't have Ponderosa. This would have been golden. Do you remember me calling this, Dan?
Yeah, we'll call it an episode too late, but
no.
It still happened. Them going back to back. So
but they would have had to make a Ponderosa video together.
It's tough to see. I mean, because I read some of the exit press, and Roxroy seemed to think that it wasn't really that bad with him and Tori. I don't know what Tori's side of it was, but I'm sure it at least would have been entertaining.
Man, it would have just been like you have some of them that are like them right together hugging each other being like, this is our Ponderosa. This you have to get like a wide shot of the two of them far away being like, and this is our Ponderosa. But we don't get nice things in this world, and
that's what we get from season 41 breaking Ponderosa. So
yeah, I'm gonna blame COVID, which is the prevailing theory I've heard, and not Chan, because that theory has no merit to me. But yeah, thank you, COVID, for screwing over yet another thing. All right, but back to the task at hand that night. Yeah, I don't know. Hai's right on the money. How do you think Hai and Romeo play this?
I mean, I think Hai played it fine. I don't think he did anything wrong here or whatever. I mean, if you're Romeo, I think you got to do at least a little bit better job of trying to create doubt. Now, I'm sure there was more conversation to it that we didn't see, but I think he needed to do something a little bit more because he's been taking hits and he needs to find a way to try to get himself off the bottom. And I don't think he really did himself any favors here.
Yeah, no favors done. I don't think he played this horribly. I mean, you could just admit right away it was you that did it and maybe try to patch things up. But I mean, we see at the end of the episode, they vote together.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah, but they did. So maybe all's not lost for the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, there very well could have been another conversation that we didn't see that was more impactful that maybe either didn't happen on screen or just editors didn't find to be as entertaining. Who knows?
All right, and then let's get to maybe the most I don't know what the word is. I was going to say confusing, but it makes sense, kind of. But on paper, the most backwards logic thing I think I can say of this episode. We get Roxroy and Mike and Jonathan talking about forming an all guys alliance. But let's get every guy except Romeo, which I get because Hai and Romeo don't get along. But also, your point of making the alliance is that you have a 6-4 advantage in terms of men and women. Let's only grab 5 of the guys. That'll work, right?
Well, I think any time that you do an alliance like this, whether it be man or women, because I mean, yes, obviously, there's the Black Widow Brigade, but there's one world, but there's very few all female alliances that work, and there's very few all male alliances that work. And that's because that shouldn't be what your alliance, what bonds and brings you together. Because at the end of the day, okay, you may be the same gender or have some other commonalities or whatever, but it comes down to who you can trust. And so, if you're Omer or your Hai, who both are clearly out on this or whatever, if there are women on the tribe that you trust more than, your Roxroy or Jonathan, whoever else it may be, then why does it make sense to stick with people, just because you're the same gender? Wait, it's always about your relationships and who you can trust the most. And it's very rarely going to be broken down as simple as we all have X in common, so we're good to go. Like, it just never works.
It never works like that, but I'm also it's kind of just funny to me all right, let's make an alliance of all guys because we are 6-on-4. And in that way, you could say, okay, fine. Don't know if that'll work. It won't work, but fine. Make an alliance of the majority. But let me not even try to get every number I can. Let me get enough numbers to force a tie, not take over. Like, yeah, you're not getting.
Sorry for cutting out, but it was especially because you think that Roxroy and Romeo still should have a decent working relationship. Like, they spent all that time together.
Yeah, but apparently it seems like nobody can get along with Roxroy. It's just Romeo hit it a little bit better.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, the only person who maybe could have gotten along with him a little bit was Drea. I mean, I don't think anybody else has said really anything good about him. Actually, on his original tribe, I'd say I think Mike and Jonathan genuinely liked him. That's about it.
Yeah, we'll get more into the whole Roxroy, vote here in a little bit. But there were definitely some things that I don't think were necessarily played right. But we'll get there.
This whole episode was played wrong by so many people. But we then move to, I think, the earliest immunity challenge ever. I looked at it was
in the
5 minutes.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. In the same
5 minutes?
spot last year, it was still pretty early. But
yeah, maybe it was just a feeling because I feel like we got nothing. I feel like we almost started the episode with immunity challenge. It's like, oh, okay, immunity. All right.
I think the only time that you may potentially get it quicker is some of the finales where, it's 6 people, and especially when, they only had the 2 hours like they did for the longest time. So you got reactions right after camp and you got to that first immunity challenge pretty quick.
I guess.
But
yeah,
I mean, you're right. 5 minutes
it felt like nothing. I guess it reminded me of, if you think the Winners at War finale, because they literally started with the Edge of Extinction bullshit. Went from there.
Greatest twist ever.
Oh, I can't even joke about how much I hate it. I can't. There's no joking. It sucks. We get to this immunity challenge. Literally, they milk it. They milk this challenge that apparently only lasted like 2 minutes or over 5 minutes in an episode. They could have had more. I like that they started this early so we get more of camp life. We could have gotten even more. It's not a complaint. It's more of a here's how you could improve. The swells are rough. The thing lasts 2 minutes. Hai and Jonathan win. And the reward is you get to go to tribal last, and beef and veggie kebabs were. I think they found the sweet spot of, all right, beef kebabs don't work for everyone. Veggie kebabs are disgusting to the people who aren't vegans. Now we've got the middle.
So you're saying it's better than the stew?
Yes, I'm saying it's better than the stew. Like, this is a legitimately good reward.
Yeah. And I've heard, some of the other ones that people have said that the kebabs on Survivor, they're actually pretty decent. So now I'm sure at that point anything will taste decent because you're starving. But It at least makes sense too.
Yeah, it definitely does. So yeah, these teams. I'll just reset them real quick. The orange team, the one that went to travel first, was Mike, Omer, Roxroy, High, and Romeo. And for blue was Drea, Jonathan, Lindsay, Marianne, and Tori. You got, is this what production wanted? Did production want to put all five for all four of the women plus Jonathan on a tribe, and then all the other five guys on a tribe?
I really don't think so because
I don't either.
I don't think so because I think there's a solid chance that Jonathan could lose that challenge. I mean, I think there's another world where Lindsay definitely can pull off that challenge win, and then that puts him in not necessarily the great spot with all women. So I don't think that's what they wanted. Obviously, it worked out the way that they wanted with him
Well,
winning, but
I mean,
more on that later.
the only scenario where I think he's in a better spot is if we take out Tori and Dre and we put Mike and Roxroy. That's the only spot he's better in, I think. Um, because all the women like him a good deal. Um, no, but I he would have been in trouble. But the fact that Tori is on his tribe is a sinking ship, and you know what? If he can be on, as long as she didn't win immunity, he was fine.
Yeah, that's true.
But from a production standpoint, I don't know. Obviously, not expecting what they got, but yeah, I don't know. All right,
I was more hoping that you would have had the Jonathan and Romeo switch or whatever, just because then that would have been the quote unquote five guy alliance, and Roxroy and Mike, Jonathan's eyes, and
that would have been interesting, but then we lose Omer or High, probably. Or yeah, probably right. We lose Omer or High, and we lose
I
High.
don't think we lose Omer. I think
Well,
it's
okay, actually, let's play this
and
out for a second.
honestly, it still could be Roxroy
Yeah,
in that
wait,
situation.
let's play this out actually. So we swap Romeo and Jonathan. You
Mhm.
would think initially, and let's say High wins immunity, like he did here. Jonathan, Roxroy, and Mike. You think they work together, and they say the easy vote is Omer. Probably, I'm with you. It probably doesn't happen, and I don't think Mike wants to get rid of Omer, and I don't think
But
Jonathan wants
Jonathan's
to get rid of
also
him.
been with him since the beginning. I think you'd be more likely looking at Jonathan Omer, High and Mike, two from the original side. And that would put Roxroy in the middle. And it's either, hey, he's the easy vote because, he's kind of someone that hasn't been working that's closely with us, or Roxroy's the swing to go out one way or the other.
Yeah, it has. I think it's Roxroy in this moment. I actually don't see another vote. So if he actually got a blessing by being with Romeo, he just blew it. Yeah. Oh, what is your overall opinion on this twist? Do we keep doing it? Do we get rid of it? Do we hold it off a few seasons? 2 teams of 5 at the final 10.
I think it's one of these things that I don't necessarily hate it, but I don't think it's something that you can do season after season. Like, I think it's one of the things where, it shows up every so often, maybe every, 5 to 10 seasons, something like this shows up because it's something that the players, they can't necessarily plan for. It's a surprise. It can throw a twist, but I don't think it's something that you can do season after season because I think you're more likely to lose someone that is going to be production cast favorite, which I get that's part of the game. But then B, I just feel like there's ways that if it's something you see constantly, people are going to start making plans for it and you're not going to get necessarily what you want. So I think it has to be more periodically. And I understand their thought process with this when we're at the 26-day season, it's shorter. There's some places where we need to start getting rid of people quicker, but definitely not every season.
Okay. I'm with you there, not every season, but there is one change I would make to this that I think makes it a lot more interesting. Why don't, instead of randomly picking these teams, which fine, randomness is whatever. I always say give the players a choice. Let them control the game even a little bit. So what I would do, have them all draw a bag of rocks. 2 people pick an odd colored rock. They are team captains. Now they have to go back and forth picking people they want on their team, knowing that they'll have to vote one of them out.
That was going to be my question: is do you throw that in as if it's a reward challenge, but it's really for immunity, or they know it's immunity going
I'm fine
right into
telling
it?
them. I would tell them it's immunity. No, I want them playing knowing what they're doing. Because if you tell them it's for a challenge, oh, let me just pick all the strong people, and this is all a good thing, and you want to be picked. This spot, you're the captain. You're in really bad shape. There was almost no good way to do it. You're making people mad of because hey, you know what? I want to go to tribal with you. It's like I guess it's good for an ally. Like, that raises the question: do you pick your ally?
Well,
In a
I think you'd have to at least a few to make sure that you can get the vote your way. But I think that's where it comes from. Is
but then you're balancing trying to get the vote right, where all but also trying to make sure that the other group is you have a little bit of control of the other group of who goes home, and making sure that you don't go home. It's like I guess you want to be picking ally, enemy, like something like that. But the other person could be also trying to steal your people. Like I don't know if I were playing in this season, I'm paying this people. The first person I'm probably like maybe I'm taking an ally, but I really want Romeo on my tribe. I really want it. Him or Tori are my first two picks.
I see. I think you got to make sure that you have allies there because, especially in this situation, say that all that it is it's down to five. So five people going to tribal. I think you need to make sure you have that strong majority because if you don't have at least 3-2, you're putting yourself at risk, as well as if it is only 3-2, how many times have we seen something like that get messed up or whatever, where there's one person flips or there's a good idol play or something like that? I think you need to have as many allies as you can get on your side.
Oh, of course, and I think this rewards having a lot of allies in the game at some point, but also you have to make sure you're not picking 4 supposed allies.
Mhm.
And that's where this gets tricky because it's not like you just get to pick 4 people out of a lineup and be like, "Boom, I want all 4." It's no, you're going back and forth, and that other person could be your ally, could be your enemy, and who are they taking out of your hands?
I mean, you could do that, or you could always, go back to that old Vanuatu twist or whatever. Is one person divides it up, the other person gets to pick which side they want.
That could be fun too. I'd be okay with that as well. I think the schoolyard pick works here. I don't know.
Yeah, it very well could.
We both agree. Almost anything that lets the players have a bit of control is better than just pure randomness.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like anything. I mean, you got to have some variety in there and some differences because as soon as you start to see it too often, a lot of these players are smart. They're going to find a workaround around it. So you can't keep doing, the same final 10 break into two groups every single season.
All right. All right. So, how how do you like the way one? How do you feel about them making sure that each tribe goes to a separate beach? Did you like that or
I,
not?
I I actually like that part of it. That way, it is like if you're split into two groups and split them into two groups, because I think if you all go back and it's a group of 10, you're going to have people from both sides influencing the vote. And I think if here you're trying to shake some things up, I think you have to isolate them at two separate beaches until the vote.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I also and I lost my train of thought. Okay. But yeah, I think this is good because then you. But I am curious to see what's changing if they're allowed to talk, and people are trying to almost plan out 2 votes instead of 1. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that if you start doing that, I think the editing for how they would try to show it pre-tribal, I think would be messy, and I don't see them being able to really tell that story if you constantly have all those conversations going back and forth with trying to decide two votes. I think it makes it a lot cleaner if they're just split.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
definitely could see the mass chaos of it and some of the appeal to it, but I think the way they did it makes more sense if you're going to do it.
yeah, I think we need to give it a little bit of a rest. All right. But then from an editing perspective, do you like do you like them going camp camp tribal tribal? Like it's like I think they're first camp, second camp, first tribal, second tribal. Or would you rather them say do like an entire mini episode about the first group, like show them going to camp, show them going to tribal, go back to camp with the second group, go to tribal again. Even though it's
I
out of
can
order, but like you're acknowledging it's out of order and showing that.
I can see the appeal of kind of keeping them, more separated. So maybe it tells a better story the whole way through. I'm fine if they're going to go this route. I'm fine with the way that they did it because I think they always want to keep the travels for later in the episode.
Yeah.
But I can see the appeal to it. It's not something that it's really going to. I don't think I really have a strong opinion on it either way of which way it goes.
I don't. I feel like a lot of this twist is like, take it, leave it, whatever. I do. I think Australian Survivor tried this. I could be misremembering, and I thought it just worked better. It was easier to follow. I mean, listen, we're both capable of following an episode like this, but for certain people, I wonder if they got a little like the casual person who like has it on the background. It's like, wait, what's happening? Who's going to tribal? What like I don't know. I just wonder that.
It very well could be. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, we go to Taco Beach first, which is the Mike, Omer, Roxroy, High, and Romeo group. High has one immunity, and we start with Romeo saying, "There's no question I'm going home." I was spoiled. I ended up getting spoiled on the episode, unfortunately. But the minute I heard that, I'm like, he's not going. Like, stop, come on.
Mm-mm.
And then you're
No.
like, oh, it has to be Rockstar because that was all they showed.
Yeah, and I guess that's, what I more wanted to break down with this for you or whatever is how exactly did we land on Roxroy? Because think what you want about him as a Survivor player. I'm sure he's a great guy. Think what you want about as a Survivor player, and maybe not the most malleable or adaptable, but you think on the one side you have, I don't know. So I get Omer and High are kind of iffy or whatever, but you'd think with Mike and everyone else, I don't know. I guess I'm rambling here. We'll try to make it more concise real quick.
Good.
Omer, Mike, High, why not just stick with Roxroy? Because you have Romeo, who just wrote High's name down, and Roxroy, who, where's he going? He's not going anywhere. He has nowhere to go. And from everything that you've seen, he's not going to be, that weasel that kind of, will make deals with you and backstab, where Romeo very well could.
To be honest, I think this move maybe makes sense for Omer, and that's it. Well, and Romeo, because he doesn't go home in the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is another episode where Omer is getting his way, and if he's not careful, people are going to catch on to that and realize Omer's getting his way every single time. We need to take him out. Like, this is one of those things where it's almost it raises the question of, do you want to lose the battle to win the war? Because currently Omer is winning every single battle. And at what point does that is his supposed score so ahead of everybody else that they're all like, oh, he's obviously the winner. If we don't get him out, he has to go. And that's, I think, the beauty of Survivor and how you have to be delicate sometimes. Because, was it a well executed move from Omer? Yes. Do I think having having Romeo in the game instead of Roxroy is better for him? Yes. But at what cost? Because he got High to do something he didn't want to do. He really got Mike to do something he didn't want to do. Yes, they're his allies, and the proof is in the pudding that he was able to make them do that. But I don't know if it was necessary.
I think over the next few episodes, we're really going to see if this is in fact Omer's game and he takes it over, or if he starts to get himself into some trouble. Because, okay, great, he got his way here, but now he's pretty much down to the point where everyone who is going to be left in the game after this episode thinks that they're working with them, and it's only a matter of time before one vote goes, awry, not the way that people thought it was, where everyone's going to start talking, and I think his name is going to come up a lot more. So I think this is where we're going to see is he an absolutely fantastic player, or is he a very good player that maybe came a little bit too hard out of the merge?
I I hope it's the former. I really do. I
I
would
do
love
too.
to see him win this game. I'm getting worried it's more of the latter, that he has come out too strong and played it better than some people who flame out one episode in after getting their way. He's done very well with that. He's been at the merge for 4 rounds. He's been a part of 3 of them. He's gotten his way and he's orchestrated his way on all of them.
Yeah, I
And
mean, because if you look at it with who's left, is he has, his original Taku 4. He's
out of
going to
8,
have,
now that is half the
yeah,
group
that's
left.
half. He has good relationships with Mike, with High, with Romeo, clearly now. And we haven't seen a whole lot of it, but because of working together, I'd imagine he still has a decent relationship with Drea as well.
I'm curious to see how the two of them interact, because I think that could be his biggest stumbling block. I mean, Dre doesn't have an idol anymore, but still she's powerful. Even without the advantages, she's powerful just because of the way she can strategize and win immunity and all those things. Still, she has the amulet and the knowledge is power and the extra road. Am I right? She has all 3 of those things.
Yeah, she's all 3 of those. So she may not have an idol, but she knows that Mike does.
And she knows that Marion. Oh no, Marion doesn't anymore.
And
Oh wow,
knows
I
that,
didn't realize. I'm realizing how bad Mike
yeah,
ain't in a great spot anymore. Ooh.
no, that's the only idol that she can take, and it isn't like last season where people know that of its existence or that it's a thing. Like,
Yeah, she hasn't blown this one. She blew the
yeah,
extra vote. She has not blown this.
yeah, why would anyone think, oh, Mike can't take his idol to tribal council? There's no reason to not think that. So,
And Mike is smart enough that he will bring it every single time.
yeah, why wouldn't you? Especially if you don't know that thing's out there.
Sigh, 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 tisk, tisk, tisk. I can't wait for this thing to be unveiled and Mike gets screwed out of the game. Great. Great, 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 great. All right, well, this plan happens. It is one of the more obvious votes I think we've ever seen. We then go to the other camp, which has a bit of a more interesting dynamic, and by a bit I mean a lot more interesting because it's not as obvious. And we start.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was just setting it up. They start, and Jonathan is like, "Oh, I'm going to be the strategic mastermind. Here's how this is going to work, and I'm just going to tell everybody what the plan is, and I hope everyone likes it. Because if they don't, I'm the boss. Because I'm with." I don't know what it is, but like I was like, "Oh no, you don't want to act like a king with a tribe of all women. That already looks bad. But 2, you got to take it from input from your allies."
Don't worry, Jonathan. It's only going to get worse from here.
Oh, bad episode, Jonathan.
It's a horrible episode. And so we're starting here. And I guess where my confusion comes, and this has more to do with the editing and the show than necessarily who going on with Jonathan. I don't understand why there's kind of been this buildup and he's getting his own music and he's doing all this stuff. If you know this episode is coming.
Because he is Jeff's wet dream, and I'm still willing to say, hey, it seems like Jeff can look at what happened at Tribal and give Jonathan like the benefit of the doubt of like, look, Jonathan grew. Isn't this nice? No.
But the editors know it.
They know. Here's the thing. Jeff has probably his final say on this, and he's still at a point. Listen, I think Jeff is getting more modernized and more progressive in some ways. We can get into this in detail later, much as we really can. I still think he's like a little bit in the mode of, oh, Jonathan is the white savior. Look at him learning and growing. And sure, you're supposed to, but there are some instances from Jonathan this episode, I'm just banging my head against a wall saying at that time in 2021, you don't know any better? Really? You don't know any better?
especially this for everything that they've done for him, this better be his worst episode. Because if this is not his worst episode, and I hope for everyone's sake that this is, because I
God,
don't see how he could make too many more stupid mistakes, but who knows?
it
But
might be
if
worse
this
from a
is
gameplay perspective, but
okay, and that's fine. But if it's worse from more of an optics, you can't do what you did the first 8 episodes of this season building him up.
it doesn't matter. Jeff needs a wet dream every night, okay? That's Jonathan. Doesn't matter.
His Boston Rob's body isn't doing it for him anymore.
Boston Rob's gotten older. He's done with Rob. Hey, Rob didn't want to be on 40. Next. Who's next? Oh, Jonathan. Perfect. Okay. Jonathan, you'll be my next man crush. Okay, but Jeff's man crush side, he says he starts this with Marianne. Oh yeah, all right. Hey, well, let's get Dre out. She is an idol, and I know you have one too. But I want to protect you. Oh, and here's the part you're gonna love. You're the backup.
So pause for
not
1
Tori,
second.
too.
Yeah. Pause for because I have a question for you.
Oh,
So
please go for it.
Jonathan comes in saying, I have all the power, normally when people have, are safe like this, they take a step back and they don't, but I'm really going to dictate that. How many times has that actually happened? Because I feel like that's the complete opposite of
I mean, I feel like this season we've seen a couple times where people who have immunity try to make a move. Romeo tried the first episode of the merge. Omar did. Omar ended up making a move. But yeah, I mean, I guess when you have a smaller group, it's more possible for the person who has immunity to really try to drive the action. But you are right. It not often. It does not work very often.
I feel like what happens more is someone has immunity. They go and they make the move because if they feel emboldened, they're powered, they're safe.
Oh yeah.
And they make this huge move that then blows up their game down the line because allies start to lose trust in them.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens way more than maybe the right move is, hey, I know I'm safe. Let's make sure that, I'm not getting steamrolled into a decision I don't want. But I can let my allies maybe take the reins a little bit here because I know they're not pulling anything on me.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. That's better. But I can say just if I was playing, not gonna lie, if I make the merge, something has already gotten wrong. But if I somehow make the merge and I somehow win a challenge, and I'm playing the game where I'm like a little bit passive, there's gonna be a part of me that's just like, I want to make a big move, and maybe I don't want to be as obvious about it, but I am gonna try to make a big move. I'm not gonna play it. Listen, I play it better than Jonathan did, but so can anybody. And yeah, it would probably blow up in my face next episode, but it's like I get the desire.
Personally, I'd probably be unbearable, but this is more of thinking with a logical head, removed from it, not necessarily being entrenched in the game.
Yes, this is for you to remember when you're on the island and you have me and you're saying, "No, Dan, be smart about this. You want to win the game." And then you're like, "Ooh, big move, big move, big move."
Yeah, and then Probst pops on the other shoulder. It's just like big moves. Gotta love them.
Yeah, they're not winning you the game, but you'll be remembered forever. And I'm like, no, you won't.
But sorry, we can get back to Jonathan's first conversation with Marianne.
Nothing about this is good. Why are you starting with Marianne? It's just all these things. Starting with Marianne, one, if I'm anything, I'm starting with Lindsay.
Absolutely.
2, let me start with Marianne. And then let me say, you know what? You're the backup, which, 1, even if she is in your delusional mind, you lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
2, Tori is right there. No one would care if you vote for Tori. No one. I don't even think Tori would mind that much.
She voted for him, so that's only fair.
Exactly. Like, it's... we're
don't worry, it gets better.
And we've been saying for like a couple of episodes, you know what, Jonathan's strategic mind isn't that bad. And I've been
take it all back.
People have been, you and others have been like trying to convince me that Jonathan is a good, decent strategic player, and I was starting to come around to it. I feel so vindicated. He was worse than I could have possibly imagined. Yes. Yeah.
One.
What?
Take it all back.
Yeah.
I
His score is plummeting. It's plummeting. It's bad. I mean, now that we've, and I want to do like after the when we get to the ratings, a little winner reset because we lost the two people who we know couldn't win the game, and I think Jonathan has taken their spot gladly as buffoon number one.
yeah,
I mean,
I think everyone I could see
is there a
a
universe where he wins
path.
the game?
I can't see a path where he wins the game. I could see a path where he potentially gets deeper into the game with immunity wins and still having allies, but I don't see any scenario where he's sitting at the end where he wins. I I don't even really see. I think the only other person that I'd put with him
Romeo.
is Romeo, just simply because you're in the final 8, like you need to have the best 4-episode stretch that we've ever seen in order to justify that he deserves it more than other people that are there. Because I think no matter how it breaks down, if he somehow finds him there, if he's there with, Drea, Omer, Hi, Mike, even shockingly Lindsay, which
I
we haven't
told you.
seen it.
I told you. When's his
Like
shot?
I don't see where Romeo wins that vote. So I think it'd be Jonathan, and we can get more to it later, like you said, but I think it's Jonathan and Romeo.
Oh God, Jonathan. That's maybe your dream scenario at this point. Yeah, Jonathan took any chance of winning this game, and he threw it down the mountain he was forced to climb at the age of 3.
That should
Oh
have
my
made
God.
him do more pull-ups.
Yeah. Oh God. He said, "Here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna break the pull-up bar. That'll show them all." All right. So this gets better. He goes to Marianne. Marianne obviously does not love it. He then goes to Lindsay, who also gives him the same dose of logic. This is
I
really
thought
stupid.
I thought he went to Drea next.
Did he? Oh, sorry. Oh, you know he
I
did.
could be wrong. Like I was at the live party, so I was. What also doesn't help, which
Oh, yeah,
I don't change anything for the world, but that glorious bastard Zane Knight every 35 seconds turning to me and going like, "Do you have any idea what's going on right now?" Like,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had it out of order. He goes to Drea next. I was like skipping that over, but yeah, he does talk to Drea. This telling her it's Marianne isn't even that good a plan. Maybe this is the part you can justify a little bit. No, still Tori's the better move 99 times out of 100.
oh, absolutely. And just to clarify that last comment, I was practically best friends with Zane Knight the entire live show. It was fantastic. Love the guy. He'll be on the podcast later this year, maybe next year. Schedule's a little tough to pin down, but
We're gonna figure this out. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, Drea is. I mean, you got to feel like, and we heard her reaction to it in confessionals or whatever, but just her lying spidey sense, whatever you want to call it, is just pinging all over the place. Like Jonathan played this horribly once again.
No one believes this. I don't even think if you told Tori the plan, she'd believe it. She's like, this can't be that. He can't be that stupid.
Mm-mm.
But he was. And then he goes to Lindsay. And this is the part that I remember vividly and have in my notes. Lindsay really hates this plan, and she makes sure to tell Jonathan. And Jonathan's his big brain is like, nope, I'm right. You can't trust anyone. She's like,
Even the fact that when he goes, well, what if Drea plays an idol? And it like stumps him for a second. And then he's just like, well, that's not going to happen. Don't be ridiculous.
don't be. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What happens? Oh, then Marianne's going to play her idol. And then what? And now
Yeah.
Marianne knows to play her idol. Great, you fuss the idols. But who's going home?
And the whole time he keeps interrupting Lindsay, like, you're not listening. Like, no, Jonathan, it's you who's not listening to logic here. Like, she makes a pretty compelling case.
And this whole episode, in some ways, like, do I think Jonathan has a good heart? Yes. I haven't seen anything to tell me he doesn't. But this and his actions at Tribal, the way he was I can't use another word of them. It seemed pretty misogynistic. Just like it just made me think like, oh, Jonathan, you're acting like how I hoped you wouldn't, and how I thought you may have evolved. But it's just like it's just like mansplaining thing, saying that like you're not listening. It's like I'm not aggressive. You're aggressive while while yelling at people. Like it just is like Jonathan. All this is just so bad, and you should know better.
It's disappointing, especially because I mean, I'm sure that was going to be a lot of first opinion on him. Like we talked so many times this, about how this cast has been self-aware of, maybe what their first impressions are and how they were going to overcome it. And I'm sure that's something that he had to deal with. And so you saw a lot through this pre-merge process of, him trying to be more of the provider, him, always kind of being like thankful for everything and it's just like I'd imagine for that many days that it's not an act, that part of him is that's who he is. But I don't know what happened, on this day where he woke up, but it was almost just like everything that you'd hoped he wouldn't be just came screaming out.
Okay, and I think I can get on this a little bit from what I've seen because it reminds me of the way I know some people sometimes act in real life. There are people who have genuinely good hearts that want to do good for others, and they try to, and they act selfless and like go help people, but they're doing it, but they need the validation.
Mhm.
It's not. It's like the sure. I'll go help you with your groceries, but I need you to tell me I'm the best and thank you 20 times when you're done with it instead of just saying thank you and moving on. Or it's like this is great. Now I need to be on the news for it. Like and it's like it almost feels like we get that, and then Jonathan in his head, I think, has built himself up as this. I mean, he's obviously physically like a tank. He knows it. Everyone knows it, and everyone's telling him that. Everyone's feeding his ego, and his ego is probably pretty big. And he's thinking, here, you know what? I've survived a couple votes without having immunity. That's better than I thought. I'm like downplaying this like blockhead mentality, and he's like, let me be strategic. And then he has this idea, thinks it's great, and people tell him it's not. And he's like, no, it's great and it's going to happen. And it's just like, no, Jonathan, see the forest through the trees a little bit.
The only other thing that I can really think of is maybe he's more of an older soul, and not saying that is a good way or a bad way, but I think it's almost the opposite of what we saw last week with Omer. He was going through all of his prayers and talking about being Muslim, and Mike was there asking questions. He wanted to know more, and he said, that's something that you don't typically see from an older guy who's more stuck in their ways. And maybe that's despite the fact that Jonathan is younger. Maybe that's just more what he has, is he's stuck in his ways. And it's not necessarily that he means poorly or whatever, but he's
Yeah.
not open and honest to hearing different variations like he obviously should be, in different solutions and different
Yeah.
understandings.
Yeah. And I think maybe it's like the way he was raised, much of his area had a lot of like minorities or anything like that, or how he was raised. But it seems like that maybe Survivor is like a bit of an eye-opening experience for him. Maybe he'll realize that like this is one of the first. I don't know, but it seems like in this episode showing me that like he hasn't interacted with a lot of people that are really different than him.
No, and it gives me hope that, you
He can
know,
grow.
he can grow, and that we've seen some, different responses out there. I'm thinking mainly the one that I saw from Drea, where it's, she was appreciative of all the love and support, but was also like, please leave my castmates alone. Like, and so that gives me hope that, there's been more conversation there, and just gives me hope that there's something more there. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Shall we go to the first tribal that lasted a whole like 30 seconds?
Sure.
What happened? Roxroy went home. I don't know else. Anything interesting from the discussion? I can't get anything. I was like, okay. This is the
Roxroy
most
said it
con.
was an easy day. They were just hanging out, or however exactly he phrased it. When it's simply like, "Oh no, buddy, please no."
Oh, what? You know what? Jeff's like, Roxroy, here's a shovel. Start digging.
It's
5 minutes later, Roxroy's like, I'm done. Oh yeah, all right. Now jump in. Oh, okay. I thought this was for Romeo, but okay, I'll jump in. Oh, I'm out of the game. All right.
I didn't want to see Romeo go here, but this is probably also one of a time, and this is, before everything that happens or whatever. I was finding my moments where I was kind of hoping he'd stick around a little bit longer. Now, I
Who,
guess
Romeo or Roxroy?
Roxroy, just
Okay.
for the simple fact is that I enjoy when there's not just all like game thinkers back at camp.
Oh yeah.
And it's someone that it's kind of, like the same reason why it's, you'd like someone like Keith Nail. It's just like, he's not going to do the smartest thing strategically, but sometimes that can be great TV.
Survivor ain't fun. Going on a Disney cruise. this is this is
My
an
all-time
episode.
favorite Keith Nail thing, which, sorry, I'll get off my Keith Nail run here in a second,
You're good.
is it's the argument between it's on Cambodia, and it's the argument between Savage and Cass. And if you look, Keith is in the background practicing his golf stroke. It's phenomenal. You can see him, winding up and practicing or whatever. It's someone had to point it out to me and sent pictures, and the next time I watched it, I looked for it, but I was just like, never change, Keith.
Never change, Keith. I still think just him getting annoyed at people asking me if Survivor's fun. No, it ain't fun. That and then the whole stick to the plan is just
But sorry, Roxroy,
oh yeah. I get it. I wish. Listen, both people who went on this Roxroy and Tori stunk at the game pretty badly, but did they bring entertainment by stinking at it? Yes.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna miss them. I'm really gonna miss them from that perspective.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I with this group, I'm like, I don't know who I want to go home, and I think I wanted Roxroy because I was like, I just don't want the others to go home. Because if Romeo goes home, that's boring. That's a very predictable vote. And Omar's playing great game. Highs, Mike's playing a very good game. High's playing a decent game, and High and Romeo don't get along. So I want the two of them there. So who do I want to go home? I guess Roxroy.
Yeah.
Maybe Mike. I don't know. But we get
I'll
listen.
just say that he's someone that I was not a huge fan of, when you're watching those first few episodes or whatever. And I'm not saying that I was the biggest Roxroy fan. He was still, probably more towards the bottom of my pack, but he was growing on me.
That's fair. I think my opinion of him definitely improved. But yeah, sad to see him go. And what I'm curious about here is obviously they edited a lot of time for the second tribal, and I get why, and I think they should have done that. But I'm wondering, had they had more time, there has to be a way to go about editing the camp life and editing tribal that makes it a little bit more of a surprise that Roxroy goes home, right? This felt like they were just editing it so cut and dry that we can move on.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that there was really too much to show. Like, I think it was just there were those few conversations that happened, and I really think that that's all that it took.
All right. Yeah, well, Rockstar goes home unanimously. Wonder, I would love to watch Ponderosa to know, honestly, just to know how he feels about the four people that voted him out. But we won't, which might make the finale a bit more interesting. We'll see. So I think Rockstar is going to be Rockstar and Tori, but especially Rockstar, going to be very interesting jurors, and he will have a lot of time to stew.
Mhm.
Wordplay intended. Okay. Um, Then we get to the second tribal, and it starts with the shock of everybody, but especially Marianne and Drea. Oh, Roxroy's gone. That wasn't supposed to happen. And this is where I kind of like them being able to see who goes home. I think that makes it interesting. Of oh,
I think you have to do that. I don't think I'm completely fine with them having, going back to separate camps and being isolated that way. But whoever, won the right to go second, I think it's very important because obviously with every decision that's going to be made, there's a cause and there's an effect. And I think if they don't know what happens, that could completely change it for them. And maybe in a fair way that's not necessarily fair, because they deserve to have all the information of who's been voted out before they make their decision, because that's what they won the right to do.
Yeah. And I mean, so a lot has been said about this tribal, and I will first off applaud Drea and Marianne
Mm-hmm.
for standing up for what they felt was right and doing it in a way that was classy, that was kind, that was respectful, but that got a message across. They did what they had to do, and they did it well. Um, we see the shocked faces, and Drea says, and it always happened. The quote is, and then it always happens where at one point the black contestants get booted out. Boom, boom, boom. And then that's exactly what this is right now. So yeah, I'm pissed. And she's right. I hate saying it. She's right. Um, and it was also,
Sorry, you finish your thought.
yeah, all as I say is it's very interesting that two of the people that are at this tribal are Jonathan and Tori, two people who have grown up in more conservative areas, more rural areas that aren't. I believe Jonathan's from Alabama and Tori from Arkansas. Two
Mhm.
two places that aren't as open, as diverse, as accepting typically. And I think that made this even more interesting, and I hope for everyone involved made this a little bit more of a good learning experience.
I mean, you're absolutely right. For the people that, think that this had nothing to do with it or whatever, think of the first handful of seasons where, there was only a few minority, POCs on the cast.
First
How
handful, first
often?
40.
Yeah. Sorry, first 40, really. But how many times were they first boot or very early on?
And,
It's happened a handful of different times. I mean, I've heard Jeremy Collins talk about, his first season where he's talking, and it's the first two votes that go are Nadia and Val. And he's like, they were talking about it. And he's like, I think if there was even just one more, person of color on that tribe, that doesn't happen. And so you can say what you want about it. I think the evidence is right there. And I guess just referencing Jeremy again, things that I've heard him talk about is he's like, you need that because it's a lot easier if you're able to connect with someone with a similar background as you. And obviously that doesn't come always down to race. You can connect with people out there over absolutely anything. But if you're just dismissive of it, just take a look.
Yeah. And the argument that you hear a lot on Survivor and I like that Drea and Marianne both talk about it subconsciously, because Jeff asked if it's race related. Drea is like subconsciously a little bit of that, unfortunately. And she's like, I'm not going to let that happen to another one of us. Point blank, it's a reset for me. That was a game changer. And then Marianne tells Tori, I can't write her name down. I literally can't. I walked in tribal. She can't write it. All that stuff. And you could say, like, and people probably are saying, and I would say incorrectly, that, oh, if two white people are on the first on the jury, then what if a white person said that? That'd be terrible. And obviously, yes, you're rolling your eyes. I know. I'm not justifying it. That's obviously very wrong. But
I understand.
Yes,
we're both on Survivor fandoms of the internet. It's a dark place.
Yeah, I mean, and like some of these people, I'm willing to bet, are genuine. Like, they don't fully understand it because you're not in the shoes, and neither are we. And that's why I don't want to go fully down a rabbit hole, because we are not the most qualified people to talk about it. There are much more qualified people ever on the internet going to talk about it. Let them handle it. But I will say, this is something that's for building for 40 seasons, and you have a lot of times seeing minorities get sent home either early at the beginning of the game, maybe early in the merge or whatever, and seeing them get sent home in a row. It's saying, we're saying, oh, they're not fitting in. That's something you hear a lot. Oh, they're just not gelling with the tribe. They're not fitting in. It's like, yeah, it's like, I know you don't mean it being racist, but it's like, yeah, be a little better than that. And then, and then it just gets down to like, and this also goes beyond Survivor. There's to Big Brother, every reality show that like would have predominantly white casts. We get Marianne's great line of, yeah, we all have a 1 in 18 shot, but some of us with our burdens and our privileges may make that higher or lower. Um, and it's like, eh, yeah, I keep going about. Sure, some people succeed. Sure, black people and minorities can win this game. They've done it. But you look at the rates and the rates of minorities going home first or second, like you said, it's not good.
Mm.
And listen, it from a gameplay perspective, this kind of stunk, just flat out. It was like because it made the vote very obvious, and boring. But from
I
a
wanted that parchment to say safe so bad,
oh,
as much as I didn't want to see Lindsay go.
yeah, that would okay, yeah, that would have been something. But I will say honestly, everybody besides Jonathan, I thought played this quite well, and
Oh, Jonathan.
from a like moral perspective, and then we get the one is Jonathan is like getting aggressive, and he's like, I don't feel this is right. You're coming at me at this like racist, and then we get the most cringeworthy thing. Don't make it seem like I'm being aggressive. You are being aggressive. Oh no, that is what that one. How do you not know? Even if you think it, you're wrong. But even if you think it, how do you know not to say that? That is like the
It's something
textbook.
that should never come out of your mouth.
Oh
And
my
then you also
god.
just have to think about it like, this can't be the first. Maybe this is probably the first time that maybe he's in a discussion that's like this.
Yeah.
But you think he's been this big, towering guy probably his entire life. And when you're with a group of women like that, like, or just people that you're just always going to be bigger than, you have to always think about, hey, I can't do this. Like, it's gonna come off aggressive.
Yeah. And and Jonathan, and this is another part I don't like of him. He's making everything about him. He ends this whole thing. I'm glad it's cleared up, and it's not this tribe that made him feel basically saying, you know what? I'm glad we talked about this, and I'm glad I'm not racist. I'm glad we've established that I'm not racist. You heard that? I'm not racist.
You know,
That's what he said without saying it. Just, come
the
on, be better.
real clue for this should have been back on episode 2 or 3 when Omer's talking about being Muslim if he has any questions, and Jonathan goes, well, if you have any questions about Christianity, feel free to ask me
You're
too. And it's just like,
right. You
oh,
are, and it's like that
like,
one's like,
trust me, I'm sure it's been shoved down his throat quite a bit. Like,
and I mean, oh, listen, I think he meant that from a loving perspective, and you say that fine, but then start asking questions, maybe, maybe
yeah,
like, and maybe he did, we didn't see it, but I don't think he was near the level of Mike, for example.
no.
But whatever. Yeah, Jonathan, come on. And then I will give, and yeah, and Tori and Lindsay are, I thought both handled themselves well. Um,
I thought, I mean, obviously the stars of it for speaking are it's going to be Dre and Marianne,
oh, absolutely,
for
100%.
100%. But I thought the way that Lindsay handled herself after all that was very good as well.
Lindsay was very good, and I still have to give props to Tori. Um,
That's fair.
yeah,
I
someone who also is probably in a similar, like again, upbringing to Jonathan. She was able to a bit more take herself out of it. And then we get the Jeff talking about the. This is maybe the one thing I didn't understand. A little bit. He's like, "Oh, what would help?" Again, I guess it's right. Of like, oh, you know what would make this awkward? The pomp and circumstance of walking up the steps to vote. I almost feel like you really. Obviously, I get you can't do this because of the number of days and everything, but it's like, and it obviously wouldn't be fair. But like, maybe the more appropriate thing is like, say, you know what, we're not doing tribal tonight or something. But like, not. But
I,
like,
I
yeah, I
don't
don't
think
know
there
what
was
the
any
difference.
way they were going to do
No,
that.
of course not. And I'm not saying they should have. But it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean when he says like, "Oh, the pomp." Like, let's stop with the pomp and circumstance of walking up the stairs. That will make this better. And I guess it did. But it to me, it kind of felt clunky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then we just get, all right, Dre and Marianne giving, and I love, and I get this is the game percent. And Jonathan's like, all right, well, they have to give up their idols, and they stand up and do it. Which, like, you know what, badasses, good job on you.
Can
Game,
we? discuss with going with it. Do we know why Lindsay didn't play her shot in the dark as well, just in case?
Let me think. Because I think at that point, if
You're just rolling that 1 in 6 dice that Tori doesn't get it.
I guess we also still don't know like what the rules of replacement are and all this garbage. But
Well, they said going into the merge, they said like an episode or two ago that it was rather than being the 1 in 6, is there. I get that still replacement.
Is
What
it
goes
2 and
back there?
12
But
or
it's
2 and
2 and
11?
12. Yeah,
it's a 2. But all right, so we get obviously Jonathan's safe. He has immunity. Lindsay, Marianne, and Drea are safe because they played their idols. All three of them are voting for Tori essentially, and I guess it's a situation, and I guess I see where she's coming from. Of what, the odds of us both being safe are 0, pretty much.
yeah.
And I think she's saying, what, there's another situation where I could save it. And I kind of don't blame her for it, honestly.
I mean, if you're looking at it, that your odds of staying in come down to a 5 in 6 chance in your favor, I think you just have to roll with that. And if it ends up being you, it just wasn't meant to be.
Well, it's I guess it's also one of the things of you don't need to be safe here. And I think that's kind of where you want to save the shot in the dark. You need to be safe. You just need Tori to not be safe.
That's fair.
And because I'm not saying, listen, the 83% odds are very good. Obviously, you want to improve them. I just don't know how much you're improving these odds in this instance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all right, 83 becomes what? 84? I could do the math later, but like the odds of you both getting it are almost minuscule.
It's next.
Yeah, it's like, it's not much. So I get it.
It's less than 10%. That much I know. I don't feel like doing the whole math right now.
No. I like math. We'll do it later. How do you? I think we've said what we need to say about this. And again, Dre, Marianne, Gallavars. How do you think Jeff handled this? Oh, the whole thing. How do you think he did? Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Could have been worse. Could have been better.
Yeah.
I think he's getting better at these things, but still has a bit of ways to go. I will say, you know what? I'm glad he just took the idols right there and like, all right, let's do this. He did read the room well in that way. But
and I mean, they still got, it was still Tori had her shot in the dark, so there still kind of was a reveal that,
Yeah. And I also like that from that perspective, and Tori's very much a game bot in this sense, and I don't blame her. I would
not
be
a good one, but
no, she's not a good one. No, not a good one. But I get that, and I appreciate that, and I thought she was at least trying to handle the emotions of everything as well as she could, and then like delicately talk about the game in a way that I feel like other people sometimes wouldn't. Like I feel like you know what I mean? Like I was impressed that she's like, all right, like when we talk about the game, I want to be able to like, you know what I mean? She needs to be in she knows she's in trouble. And I'm glad she played it. And I like the way like Marianne's like, yeah, you have to do what you have to do. I don't blame you. This isn't about like us getting you out. It's about us being safe.
I mean, she was even before all that, like she was going to be in a rough situation. As soon as that's how it broke down that was the 5. And now I think everyone would have rather no more comments on it. Like we talked about it
at length.
Yeah, we've talked about it. There's tons of other places that you can hear that are out there. And
this is a discussion that people of color and especially Black people should be leading and be having. Listen to their voices on it.
Absolutely.
All right. Shall we take a break, rate these players real quick, and call it a day?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Here we go.
We'll be back in a minute.
Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, tobacco alternatives that don't suck.
Researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine in cherry ice flavor. Each and every flavor actually tastes great, and it's convenient and discreet. Products can be enjoyed anywhere, on flights, at work, on the go, or even in the gym.
I am so happy that Lucy is sponsoring us. Ever since they came on board, I have gotten no less than 5 of my friends transitioned over to Lucy and put their cigarettes down. They like the gum. I'm used to seeing the packages all around. This stuff is great, and it's really helping people make much healthier choices. So get on board and join the Lucy movement.
Hey, it's 2021. Get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip, and get some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each month. It's so simple that you don't even have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down.
Reality NSFW listeners, go to lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR to get 20% off all products, including gum or lozenges. That's lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's lucy.co, and be sure to use that promo code SURVIVOR.
This episode of Reality NSFW is sponsored by Blue Chew. Say it with us, Blue Chew. Blue Chew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom by offering chewable tablets that can help men get stronger and longer lasting erections. That's right, we're giving away super hard dicks.
Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED.
Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor offices, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online.
Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. Blue Chew's sildenafil and tadalafil tablets are chewable. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy.
Hey, if you're looking to give that immunity idol to someone, or you don't want to be voted out of a crater, don't worry, Blue Chew's got you covered. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's Blue Chew, BlueChew.com, promo code SURVIVOR to receive your first month free. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
We're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, but without all the bad stuff. And it's amazing as a midnight snack right before bed.
0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. That's only 140 calories per serving.
It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And build your own box. Available flavors to build your very own custom bundle are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and my favorite, maple waffle. Now, Magic Spoon recently brought back their 2 super popular flavors, cookies and cream and maple waffle. Thank goodness, but they're back permanently. And when these flavors were first introduced for a limited time, they sold out extremely quickly. Now, I'm here to let you know you can get them again or try them for the first time. Why? Because they're delicious and indulgent.
Johnny, Magic Spoon has so many great flavors that I really enjoy, and even my kids enjoy them. We have the cocoa, fruity frosted, peanut butter. All these are really great combinations. They enjoy waking up in the morning and getting some Magic Spoon right off to start their day great before they head off to school. I think everybody listening should give Magic Spoon a try, or if you've tried them already, it's time to reorder. Let's get you some more Magic Spoon and get your day started right.
Hey, when I finish a podcast late at night, the first thing I'm thinking is not sleep. It's let me grab a delicious bowl of Magic Spoon before I go to bed.
So go to magicspoon.com/survivor to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code survivor at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/survivor and use the code SURVIVOR to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this podcast.
All right. Daniel, are you ready to rate our final 8?
Am I in trouble? Did I just get a full first name?
I don't know. Felt like doing something different.
Yeah, that's fair. Generally, it always perks my ears up because usually family's the only one that I get that from.
I mean, hey, we've known each other a couple of years. This point, we're family. We're podcast family. I like you more. I already like you more than a lot of my real family. So
Yeah, that's fair.
all right. So I figure this week let's split them up by the groups that went to tribal. We get the boring ones out of the way first. Why don't we start with high? Where are you at with high, my friend? I mean, you had him at a 6 last week.
And so when we talked about high last week, I said that I thought this was going to be a make or break episode for him, as far as this was either going to start his upward trajectory or downward trajectory. And maybe I'm a bit off. And I don't think, it's his fate sealed or anything like that. But I think since the merge, I'm less and less impressed with him. I'm still rooting for him. I want him to do well. But I have to drop him down to – I have to take him down to a 4. He keeps taking hits, and I just no longer see his path to winning.
Honestly, I wrote last week in my notes, I had him at a 5, and I put things are getting worse. They're not getting better. Here's the thing. You have a chance to get out someone who does not like you and has made no bones about it. They don't like you. Good job working with them for a vote, but this is a vote that benefits Romeo and Omer and not you. And it also gets Mike a little annoyed.
That, and you may not want to work with Roxroy, but Roxroy wants to work with you.
Exactly. And I think this was kind of getting fooled by Omer. Come on, High, you got to be better than that.
I think it was that, and I mean, you did have his, comment about being, the misogynist club, after the all-male alliance was talked in the beginning, and I think part of it may have been he just obviously we've seen him talk and hear about it that he doesn't want to be part of that, which understandable, but I think for this vote, keeping around Roxroy, there was a lot more upside to High's game than keeping in Romeo.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the final 8, and I see 2 allies for him, which does not work. I think Mike likes him. I think Omer likes him. I don't know who else. It's like I'm looking at the other people. It's like Romeo still doesn't like him. Roxroy's out of the game. Jari probably thinks he's fine. Jonathan could care less about him. Lindsay can care less about him. Marianne can care less about him. I'm almost tempted to go down to the 3. I'm thinking about it.
And Omar might like him, but I don't think he's high in his pecking order.
Yeah, you know what?
I don't think he's going to stick his neck out to risk High.
You don't think? He won't. No shot. Not at all. All right. Enough about High, and I love him. But come on, High. Next up is Mike. This wasn't good for Mike either.
It wasn't good for Mike, and don't want to get into anything, you know, again, that happened in that second tribal, but the fact that, as we touched on earlier, that he has the only idol in the game, and now Drea can take it and knows that he has it, puts him in a little bit more of a dangerous spot than what he has been, essentially going back to like episode 4.
Yeah, no, I had him at a 6 last week. I'm at a 4 or 5. He has an idol that a lot of people know, but he can be taken whenever Drea wants to take it, and hopefully she'll probably take it soon. And he did not get his way here at all. He did not get what he wanted. The only good thing was that he was in on the vote, which may not even make Roxroy very happy as a juror. Which something to consider, maybe a shot.
I think his only benefit here is that, you know, if you would group it down and think of that, you know, if you're putting it more into groups and then, you know, which groups are going to be working together, I think his group is probably, you know, still closest ally being High, but I think other people have showed a willingness that they'd want to work with him much more than High. So it could even be, if they get rid of High, they still have Mike in their plans for moving forward. Maybe not, but that's
all right. I'm going to go with a 5 for him. What about you?
5 as well.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Next up is good old. Is that Omar? It is. Start us off with Omar.
I've been pretty consistent at an 8, and I think I have to keep him there. I'm worried about him because he's going to get to the point where he's really going to have to start cutting people that I think it's going to get people talking. Like, okay, maybe I'm not as close with him as I thought. But as of now, he hasn't done anything that we've seen on screen that has put him in jeopardy yet. So I can't ding him much for something that may or may not happen. So I have to keep him at an 8. And he controlled this vote again. I don't think he's the person that's going to catch the most backlash for this either. I think it's going to be High and Mike that's going to take more of it.
Absolutely. And lastly, that's Romeo. I had him at a 3 last week. He survived. I'm honestly impressed. He survived, and he also got a vote where he worked with High. I give him credit. However, most of it wasn't him. Most of this was Omar's doing, which makes me give Omar even more credit. I almost bumped him up to a 9. I didn't. Do I even go down to a 2? There's no shot of him winning. None.
There's no shot of him winning. The only thing that I'll give him credit for is that he's at least survived long enough. And I think after everything that happened last week, some of that larger group is going to start targeting each other rather than being like, well, Romeo's on the outs. So I think Romeo is going to be around for at least a few more episodes. So I'll put him at a 3 just simply because
staying consistent.
He has improved his position, maybe not by any of his own doing, but just simply lasting as long as he did. But like I said, unless he's there with Jonathan and someone else completely blows up their game that happens to be there, I don't see a shot. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him to be a 0 vote finalist.
I could see that. My question then is, who goes home first, him or Jonathan?
I think eventually you take out Jonathan just for being the physical threat.
I'm with you. 2.
Yeah,
2.
I'll keep him at a 3, but
can't win. Cannot win the game. And I give him a little credit for surviving this episode. That's why I didn't give him a 1. Yeah, not winning this game. Sorry, Romeo. I love you. But all right, let's move on to the I guess more interesting group. Start off with Drea. Drea now without an idol, still has an amulet, an extra vote, and the knowledge is power advantage, which basically I'm going to rename the Steal Mike's idol advantage whenever she wants to. So she played an idol, and probably good idea to play it. But she's going to get it back. She's going to get Mike's idol back.
Yeah.
So
I have her at a 7. I think I had her an 8. I'm having her a 7. And it's not, I'm dropping her not because I think she did anything wrong. I think her path to the end just got harder with how things played out, because she doesn't necessarily have strong allies left in the game. Like, I think she has the advantages that can obviously help her. And I think why that may also be more in her benefit to get rid of High, not only for the whole Roxroy thing, but also to make sure that amulet has a little bit more power, some more juice to it. But I think now, in order for her to get to the end, she's going to have to win a few challenges, which I think she is more than capable of doing. But I think her path just got a little bit harder. So that's why I'm going to mark her down to a 7.
I could not agree with you more. I'm going to really say nothing because I agree with what you said. 7. All right, next up is, can we make this quick? Jonathan, where are you at with him?
I was holding 1. I don't know if I'm going to go solely down to a 1.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any shot. I think at all that we've seen from this, that he has, even if he's able to go on an incredible immunity run, I don't see any way that he wins. Have him at a 2.
I wrote down 2. I thought about it. 1. This was bad. This was just, listen, he's not, I wouldn't say, you gave me his overall position in the game, it's probably a 2, because he's not winning the game. He's not winning the game. He's a big target that can go home soon. He has allies. Give him, they are scorned allies. They're annoyed at him. This was so bad. From a strategic perspective alone, this was played horribly. Just horribly. And then also the personal stuff, which is going to annoy people. Really bad. All of it's bad.
Taking the personal stuff out of it for right now, obviously, that's going to factor into everything else. I think Lindsay was one of his closest allies, and all he did was continue to fracture that relationship.
And Marianne liked him too. At least decently. Yeah. So
I'm done talking about Jonathan this week.
Good. Me too. All right. Well, next up is Lindsay. I'm definitely more positive on Lindsay. I'm going to keep her at a 6, which is now the 3rd best score of anybody in this game. She's under the radar. She has I think a good strategic mind. She was able to you don't get a ton of credit for being able to tell that Jonathan's plan was bad, but I think she articulated it in a way with him well enough where he's aware that she thinks it's not good, but she's not alienating him. So I give her credit there. She still is an outside winner contender for me. Maybe it's going even above Mike at this point in terms of ability to win. Overall, I think Lindsay's a good player. She came this close to being Jonathan. So if she gets Jonathan out, she could be in a good spot. And also, she's on an alliance of 4 out of 8. Not bad. Not bad at all.
I'm gonna be super consistent and keep her at a 5. I'm not. I think it now. We know who she is. I think I think there were some positives that you saw from her this week, which wanted me to scale her up to a 6. But I think the negative is just how little we've seen of her. So she may be playing a really good game, but I don't think they can do another season where they don't show their winner at all.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think I have to go back to that default 5. I think if you edit her differently, I'd see her in more positive light and consider her a real winner contender, but we just don't see much of her.
We do not. All right. Last but not least is everyone's favorite Marianne. You had Marianne at a 4 last week. I had her at a 3. Where are you this week on her now that she does not have an idol?
I'm going to stay at a 4. I don't think she's still in a best spot, but I think, she still has that old Taku 4 that could stick together. I think after everything that happened, maybe she'd be more likely to work with like Adrea. But so I think she's in a decent spot, but she definitely has a lot of work to do if she were to win this game. She's still not in a great spot.
I'm with you there. I've actually bumped her up to a 4. She's in an interesting spot, I can say. I think she has a couple ways she can go. I don't think anyone right now is looking at Marianne as a big target. Like that has dwindled. Like her power in the game has dwindled. So I'm curious to see how she maneuvers it. There's an outside shot. She wins. So kudos to her. All right. I think
she has a path. I just don't think it's
a good one.
A great one. Like there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Absolutely. I'm so with you on that. All right. Any more thoughts on the episode? Anything you're looking forward to next week?
I guess looking to see how it all plans out, but I think I've said everything I need to say on this episode.
Who's going home next?
Unfortunately, I think it's High.
Yeah, I'm like looking at it and I can't make another pick. Hate agreeing with you, but I think High's gone. All right, well, that episode was in some ways great, in some ways rough, but we got through it. Thank you as always. And for everyone out there, go listen to others talk about the sensitive topics that need to be discussed. We did our best. We are certainly not the most qualified at this. And yeah. All right, Dan, want to plug what's happening on Reality NSFW?
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, if you enjoy, what we're doing here and everything that we're doing at Reality NSFW, the best way to support the podcast is become a patron. You go to adfreensfw.com. You can sign up. If you become a patron, try it for a month. Johnny Fairplay has been on record many different times saying that if you don't like it, he has no problem refunding your money. You're not held hostage. It's, a month-to-month situation. And if you don't like it, cancel after a month. But I think you'll enjoy it. You have, by becoming a patron, you get access to our secret Facebook group where we always have a lot of different things going on, as well as you get bonus content, which is our Q&A podcast that Johnny and Matt do every week, as well as they're continuing their coverage of Australian Survivor 2019, going through week by week and breaking that down. Then, of course, there's a lot of other, episodes to check out on the Reality NSFW feed. You're going to have the, reaction show that goes on, 5 to 10 minutes after the episode. That's usually with Johnny, Matt, and Alex Triez. If you're looking for even more Survivor coverage, you have the Survivor Ladies Night podcast, which happens Monday nights at 8 with Lauren Pratt and Sarah. I actually think that because of some scheduling things that this week it's going to be Lauren with Johnny, potentially myself, and maybe even a little guest appearance by Zane Knight. We will see. Oh. And then if you are following
Big Brother Canada.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, that is what I was looking for. Big Brother Canada. Brett and Bobby break that down every week, Wednesdays as well. So make sure to check that out. They are doing an awesome job covering that season.
Which is wrapping up next week. The finale is Thursday.
Yeah. So make sure to tune in for that. I'm sure they will have lots to say and give you tons of breakdown and insight to what is going on. And then you never know what's coming up, what's coming up next for us. We're always looking at other reality shows and anything that there's an interest out in you guys covering that you want to hear. I know Johnny has a lot of plans in the works, so
he does.
Make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever you catch your podcast, because we are always coming out with new and great stuff. And then, as always, myself and Alex will be back next week to do the deep dive again, and you'll never know who you'll see us with.
Never know. All right. Dan, thank you for coming on with me. Thank you all for listening. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
See ya.
And for more reality NSFW content, visit adfreensfw.com.